Sehr geehrte Frau Presses Anna-Nicole Heinrich, sehr geehrte Frau Ratsvorsitzende Presses Dr. Annette Kurschus, sehr geehrte synodale Geschwister im Glauben, Sisters and Brothers in Faith. From the depth of my heart, I want to thank you for the invitation to come as a guest to your synod, to listen to the impressive history of the Martin Luther Kirche, to the reports and discussions about crucial themes for your church, but first and foremost, to your gathering with Christ in the center, with a prayer in your hearts and on your lips. I thank you for the invitation to your gathering around the theme, How do we speak and act in faith? I bring greetings from the Church of Sweden, from our Bishops' Conference, and our synod called Kyrkomöte, which will meet in November in Uppsala. From sisters and brothers in the north of Europe, I bring greetings from a part of Europe where we, as maybe also you, are searching for good news during these days, longing for hope and longing for community, for inspiration and openness for each other. We do this in an everyday life in our society, which is marked by mistrust and anxiety. The news is filled with bad news from far away and close by. For decades, we have been convinced that our country is a good place to live at. This trust is now at risk. And the religious communities, the churches, the Church of Sweden, what does that mean for us? Where is our place in society, in this world? What is our task, our mission, and our vision in these times? We are, as you are, confronted with a declining number of members, and at the same time, hope and places for prayers, openness, and places for encounters, love, agape, and places for sharing. They are needed more in our society than they have been for decades. The mission of our church is to live close to Christ, so close to Christ that we see what he sees, that we can say what he says, that we do what he does. That means that we have to bring good news to the poor, to proclaim release to the captives and recovery of sight to the blind, to set free those who are impressed, as he said in Luke 4. To translate this essential text of the gospel into our time is a huge task which our churches have together, and I thank God that we share this mission. Our churches have had relationships for centuries. The Reformation in Sweden during the 16th century came from Wittenberg. In Lützen, in the Evangelische Kirche in Mitteldeutschland, you still can see traces of times when different confessions, in this case the Protestant and the Roman Catholic, were closely connected, used, and misused for interests of kings and empires. Theologically, our church was tremendously influenced by theology from Germany until the 1930s. Dietrich Bonhoeffer met George Bell, the Anglican bishop and friend of Bonhoeffer, in Sigtuna in Sweden in 1942 to plan for a Europe after the Second World War. During the Cold War, our churches lived closely together in the Nordic German Church Convent and through intense relationships between regional churches in East Germany and dioceses in our church since the 1970s. Some of these relationships are still vivid. New relationships to regional churches in the western part of Germany were built up during the last decades. We have German-speaking parishes in our church in Stockholm, in Gothenburg, and one in Malmö, closely connected to the Diocese of Lund. In Småland, there is during summer pastoral care and worship in German for all those who come for vacation. You have Swedish-speaking parishes in Berlin, Hamburg, Frankfurt, and Munich. In the life of these parishes, it is visible in a special way that we belong together and share the mission to live closely to the words and deeds of Christ. So may our abilities to speak and act in faith grow. May we learn from each other, between the churches, between the generations, between those who have lived in our context for generations and those who have experiences from different parts of the world. May we hold our places, our minds open, and give witness of the one who sought to bring good news to the poor, to proclaim release to the captives and recovery of sight to the blind, to set free those who are oppressed. I wish you all the blessings of our merciful God.